Okay, so I think this is on. I have never done a live stream before, so I've got some new gear that I'm testing out. I've got a new microphone that I have, and a new camera here that I'll show you guys in a minute. So what I'm doing tonight is I'm just going through really informally, and I'm going to clean up some of these old hand planes that I got. Some of these were my uncle's who recently passed. Um, some of them are really old. They're missing pieces and parts. This is an old Miller's Falls. Let me actually switch to my other camera here, and I'll show you my collection. That'll be a little bit easier. So this is what I got. I got a few smaller uh, hand planes, block planes, big jack planes, all kinds of stuff. I got a mix of old and new. This is some of the newer stuff here on the end, but I've got a Dremel tool and some wire brushes and a little bit of elbow grease that I'm ready to put into these, and just see if I can get them cleaned up and maybe even sharpen a blade tonight. We'll see how things go. Let's see, how's the there? That'll be good. All right, and I'll try and field any questions as they come along, if they come along. Again, this was kind of a last minute thought, but well, let's go ahead and take this guy apart. See what we can do. This is an old Stanley, I believe. I could be wrong. Let's see. Almost certain this is an old Stanley. Not sure. Maybe we will uncover that together as we go along. So I've got my Logitech webcam here, the new guy. I'll be testing out tonight, so I apologize for all the erratic camera movement. Let's see if I can get it to focus on that guy. Focus. There we go. Right there. Focus. Alright, so I'm going to start taking stuff off. This front piece here. All the hardware looks in pretty good shape. I know some of these are crazy old, so that's not too bad. There we go. But just a little bit of pitting on this guy. He's definitely not the worst of the bunch. You can see the intense concentration in my face up in the corner here as I try and get this little camera to focus. There you go. Cool. I might even have to use an anti-seize. Looks like this has been, my uncle probably used these a fair amount, and this has been sharpened not too long ago, but we'll put it on a honing guide and get it where I want it. You guys will have to let me know what the proper name of some of these pieces is. Are. I'm not too familiar with the semantics of hand planes, but I can clean them up and I can sharpen them. Focus. I've got this small tripod with the webcam, and it's giving me trouble. You guys can leave a comment and let me know how much of an amateur I look right now, and talk about how poor my grammar is right now. I'm just taking off what I can take off, and hopefully I'll remember where everything goes. Couple screws. I don't know if you guys can see that. I've never done this before. I will state that probably 1,000 times tonight. If you'll focus, that would be sweet. Couple screws down in there I'm going to pull off, and I think this whole assembly will come out. Yep. Okay, if anybody's watching, could you leave a comment and let me know that things are working, or if they're not. I'm trying this new software on my computer that lets me do a multicam kind of thing. So if you could, in the comments, let me know if this is working. So I think right off the bat, I'm just going to take a wire brush and knock down what I can, and I'll get the Dremel tool out in a second. Sorry about the audio if that's shrill. A lot of you guys might not know, I am from northeastern Kentucky, and every now and then my accent comes out. You can definitely tell where I'm from. Let's go ahead and get the Dremel out. You guys want to see power tools anyway. This is the variable speed rotary tool I got at Menards. I do have a video out on that. This guy's been pretty good. I used it to install a ventilation system in my main garage, and this piece right up here, right where the two pieces of plastic come together, if this collar is not on there, those two pieces want to separate. So that's something to watch out for if you guys have purchased this or are thinking about purchasing it. This part right here seems to be a little bit weak, but as far as performance, it's pretty nice. I like it. And of course, this is the monster toolkit that comes with it. Oh, another thing, the little wrench that comes with this to swap bits out is a piece of junk. It twisted up on me almost immediately. I had to throw it out, so I'm just using pliers to do that. You can also get a taste of how much I edit out when I shoot videos, because I say and stuff like that quite a lot. So I have some brass brushes that'll be pretty gentle, but I also have some steel ones, and I might start off with the steel. They're a little bit more abrasive, and see how that knocks things down. Alright, I apologize for the noise. If you have headphones on, you might turn it down now. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you can hear me better than you can hear the tool. Okay, so this is interesting. I had this tool turned all the way up, and it completely flared out the brush. So that's good to know. Turn your speed down, folks, if you're going to use these. Otherwise, the force of the rotation will just splay them out. So I'll put it down like 2. Probably quieter too. Maybe a little faster. Speed control right there. Seems to be doing an okay job. So something to note here. Do see a stamp here. It says made in the USA, number 5. So I'm assuming, again, if you guys know better than I do, which I'm sure most of you do, I think this is a Stanley number 5. Got some really light sanding pads I'm going to use on the sides. One thing I always try and keep in the shop is a bottle of Windex. I use it as a lubricant when I'm honing chisels or plane irons. It might, maybe you're not supposed to use that. I know some people use a honing oil. Some people use water. I just use Windex. So I'm going to use it to kind of wipe off the side of this plane. And it looks like that pulled off all of the surface rust. So I'm happy with that. I don't need these things shiny, I just want them to be clean. Again, if you have any questions for me, or if somebody's kind enough to just let me know that the live stream is working, hit me up in that live chat. You can just say that, yeah, it's working. That would be cool. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty dirty job, considering that this is one of the cleaner planes that I have. Feels good. This is the important side. I just want to make sure that I get all of that surface rust off. And anything that's kind of raised up, or anything that might cause it to not glide smoothly. I'm just kind of sighting down the bottom right now to make sure that everything looks good. There aren't any dips or raised bits on it. It looks good. Another thing I'll probably end up breaking out on these other ones is some steel wool. I've got a 4/0 steel wool, I believe. Works pretty well on surface rust and stuff like this. The sanding block's doing pretty nice though. I wasn't sure if that would work. This is for drywall. I'm working on a sculpture made out of walnut for my church right now, and I've done a little bit of hand planing on it and used this monster plane I have down here, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, as well as one of these smaller blocked planes, this guy, and really enjoyed it. I don't know how often you guys use hand planes, but I've found that it's really enjoyable. It kind of forces you to slow down. Anything you do with a hand tool, you kind of have to be slow with it to be nice and precise. I don't know, what about you guys? Let me know in the chat or the comments if you like to use hand tools in your projects, or if you're primarily a power tool kind of person. I don't know that I really had a ton of respect for hand tools until I started following some people on YouTube. There's Cody over at the the Wrangler Star channel. He and his family do the homesteading thing, and he's got a profound appreciation, I've found, for hand tools. It's pretty inspiring. Now, I'm not going to do too much to the wood on these things. I'll give them a quick wipe down with this Windex here, and I'll probably just go ahead and put that back on and set this piece aside. I feel pretty good about it. The bottom's nice and flat. All the surface rust is off. What you're seeing on the inside is the original paint job, which is pretty cool. See if I can. Focusing is going to be interesting with this camera, I think. I'm checking something on my computer right now. Again, I've never done the live stream thing, so just checking to see how it's working. Seems like it's okay. I can go ahead and clean this guy up. See, there's a little bit of paint on there. Grab the edge of this knife and see if I can scrape it off. Yep. Focus. Focus on my hands. Oh well, you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's put this handle back on. Maybe hit the head of that screw with a little, give it a little bit of love. Just to knock off the rust. Yeah. If I really wanted to restore this, I could go in and hit this wood with some sandpaper and take off all that old finish and put some new on. But you know what? I like the character and all the little nicks and dings that are in here. It makes it a one-of-a-kind tool. And knowing that, there's a good chance that a lot of these are from my uncle, that's pretty cool too. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is a pretty good tip. Use these sanding blocks that you would use on drywall. You're doing that. They work pretty great. This one has been used already, so it's worn down, but I think the flex and the sponge allows it to contour and shape around things, bend around things really well. So I call it a pro tip, but I'm not a pro. So there's your amateur tip for the evening. Focus. Yeah. Okay, this guy. How are you looking? This piece maybe just needs to be cleaned. Everything seemed to be pretty smooth and in working order. Just give it a good wipe down. You guys know of a better way to do this? Let me know. If there's anything I can be doing differently here too, let me know. Always up for improving the channel. Alright, here's some noise. Yeah, still works really, really well. Oh, this is how you remove it. Well, might as well clean the back of it, huh? I'm not the chattiest person in the world, I'm realizing. One thing I'd like to get is a set of rasps that I can use. Um, my dad's had one for a long time that's pretty sweet for shaping things. I've started to make my own hammers and mallets. This is actually for setting a plane blade. It's made with oak for the head, solid piece of oak, and then I believe this is some apple wood, and I just put a little um, leather strap here on the end so I can hang it. But what you do is you can use this hammer to lightly tap a plane iron when it's in the when it's in the housing, and get those shavings just perfect. I find that this small hammer um, works really well for that, and it also gives me an opportunity to experiment with wedged through tenons, which this one's not great, but it's a lot better than the one that's in my big mallet. This is a piece of cambia as the wedge, so a rasp would be really nice, a nice hand tool to add to my collection. Alright, so I think I can go ahead and put this little guy back on. Let me hit these screws really quick. And those drop in here through the back, which is difficult to access right now. Okay, there's one, there's two. And that sits in here like so. I'm sure that this has to do with some kind of alignment, which I did not pay enough attention to, so if it doesn't work when I put it back together, this might be why. Got one screw that's being kind of troublesome. Be nice if I had a camera strapped on my face so you could see what I'm looking at. I thought about getting a GoPro to wear on my chest. I'm a big fan of fishing, and if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I recently got back from a fishing trip with my dad, and a lot of the guys that I follow on YouTube that are, serious fishermen have, the GoPro strapped to their chest so they can record catching fish. Thought it might be kind of interesting to make some woodworking videos so you can kind of see my first person point of view when I'm doing things. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Let me know. Might be able to make that happen. Okay. So I'm taking the straight edge and I'm lining it up in here because the piece that I just installed is right here. There's also this piece that the iron rests against on the bottom. I'm just laying this straight edge on here to make sure that they're in the same plane, and I think that will work. So once I'm fairly confident with that, I will go ahead and secure it. All right, on to this stuff. This screw, go ahead and hit and put it back in. Might need a little Dremel love. Just had a piece of the brush hit me in the face, so I'm gonna wear these. Okay, I'm not sure how far to screw that in, so I'm gonna kind of leave it there. So these guys, these are fairly pitted, but we'll still get in there and see if we can't clean them up some. One of these is called the chip breaker. I know that much. I just can't tell you which one. Well, here we go. Let me clean that up a little bit. Here's the brand of the plane. So I remember looking this up for my dad one time, and it says Worth, I think, WORTH. North. I've got this in my Google history or my web history. Let's see if I can get a shot of that. Let's do this. Take the camera to the piece. Focus. There. See that? It's got that little asterisk looking mark, and then it looks like WORTH. I can maybe look it up and put it in the description if any of you are interested. I know several of these are Stanleys, and I've got some Miller's Falls and just a whole assortment. This is the plane iron now that I'm working on. I think I'm going to take the Dremel to this one too. So safety glasses. Little pieces of this brush flying off all over the place. I think it's just because it's cheaper. Sorry, checking something. All right. You know, I've mentioned this rotary tool in a few videos, but I paid $15 for it. I've seen some comments from some subscribers, saying that they found it for even cheaper at Menards, and it was a big kit. It came with the rotary tool. You know, I have a Dremel here as well, but you know, just the wire brushes alone, um, the Dremel brand. These are, gosh, you could buy 3 or 4 of these and spend $15. And that's what I was going after with some of these brushes for this specific job. And came across this kit, and you know, even though the brushes aren't great, they're working. And even though the Dremel tool isn't great, it absolutely works. And you know, every time I use it, I am more satisfied with the decision to grab it. You know, it's almost worth it, even if this, you know, craps out on me. I've still got a ton of attachments for my other Dremel, and if I need to go buy more attachments, I can just buy another kit. You know, I'm not out carving with, you know, a rotary tool all the time, and for me, these economy tools are great in some aspects. You know, you get what you pay for with some things, but here it's pretty good buy. I might have a light fall, so I'm gonna fix that. There. Okay, maybe that'll stay. So I'm pretty happy with that. You know, it's still got some pitting on it, but I'll absolutely be able to sharpen that guy right up. Let's move on to this guy, which looks a little bit worse. I'm putting my hand out because there are tiny little pieces of wire that are shooting out of this brush. Trying to stop them. Now, folks, I could only remember how this guy attached. That. Like that. Guess I could just look at one of these other planes, huh? Got it. All right. So this goes bevel side up. This piece goes on like so. That goes about there. Like that. So this must be the chip breaker. And this bolted through from back here to attach the iron to the breaker. Whew, that's a shallow angle. Well, let's go ahead and clean up this last part, and then I will go ahead, I'm saying go ahead a lot, I will put this guy back together after giving it a quick sharpening. So I'll show you what I do for that after I clean this guy up, which shouldn't take too long. Yeah, he's gonna clean up real nice. Turn you down. I think I'm about out of bristles on this brush. Let's see. Yeah, I've about thrown all of the bristles out of this guy. So that gives you an idea about how long these brushes last. You can maybe get through one plane before completely falling apart, which is not great, but you know, it's a fair amount of grinding for that little brush. And again, I'm not looking to change the world with my rotary tooling. Yeah, that's shining up nice. Look at that. Cool. This live streaming thing is interesting because I'm just sitting here really just talking to myself. Unless somebody happens to comment, then I can respond or, you know, use the chat or something, but I'm just talking to myself, doing some work, having a conversation with me. My guess is that when my uncle would sharpen these, he was doing it mostly by hand. It looked like the iron was a little bit rounded on the tip. So it's probably going to take a little bit of work, but we'll try and get her sharp. All right. Plain iron. Let me show you what I do to sharpen these. Behave. Camera. All right. So, as a lot of you know, if you follow me at all, I have a 3D printer, and I've 3D printed these honing guides for plane irons, and it's one of the best things I've printed related to woodworking. I guess I can take these glasses off now. Basically, the way this works is I have a rolling honing guide. It came from Amazon. I can put a link in the description once this is over. But basically, you put your blade in, you tighten it up, not all the way, you know, you want to be able to move, but this allows, it's got a wheel on the bottom, it allows you to roll on top of your stone and keep your plane at a consistent angle, keep your iron at a consistent angle. And what this thing does, it's got, if you can see, the camera will focus for once in its life. Focus. Yes, okay. So you can see angles. There's 20 on top, 25, 30, and 35. Those are degrees, and you take the edge of your iron and you can stick it inside these little V grooves here to check the angle on the iron. And 35, 20, 25. This looks like it's even shallower than 20. So let's see if this guy will work. No. Okay. Well, so the easiest thing for me to do to avoid having to remove too much material, well, the easiest thing will be to just to do it by hand and follow that. But I'm not going to do this. I'd like to keep this fairly consistent. So I'm going to set this to 20 degrees, which is the furthest step here. So put the iron in, the tool. This piece butts up against the base of the honing guide, and you slide your planer iron up until it touches this block. And once you're happy with everything, you cinch it down. And this guy definitely needs to be tightened down. Otherwise it'll come loose with all the movement. And I just like to take pliers, grab it and give it a good turn. So now that plain iron is locked in there, it's not going anywhere, and I can take it to my stone and get it right at 20 degrees. So that's what I'm going to do. The stones I'm using definitely are not anything fancy, and I don't have anything that goes beyond let's say maybe 800 grit, 600. But I've got this 4-piece diamond set that I use. I'm setting on 200 now. And one thing I like to do, if I have a Sharpie handy, is go across the edge of the blade with a Sharpie. And that lets me know where I've actually honed and where I need to keep going. If I don't, let's see if the leash on this is long enough to get me over here. I'm hardwired into my computer right now. Yeah. So I've got this new microphone, and it plugs into an input jack so you guys can hear me better. But it means I've got a 20-foot leash on me. Before I get going, I'm going to crack open this can of Coca-Cola, who does not sponsor me, but if they would like to, and if Coca-Cola is tuning in right now, I like your stuff, and you're welcome to sponsor me. All right. So I get here, and I mark all the way across the tip, or the bevel on the iron, and I will let that dry, which just takes a second. Okay. So now I can go to work on this stone. And I put 2 fingers, just like this, on the blade. And just go at it like that. See if I can get a better angle here. Okay, now I can stop and check to see where I'm grinding. You can see right across the front and some along the back and side there. So I got to keep going. I'm going to keep going until I don't see any more Sharpie. Then I'm going to mark it with Sharpie again and give it another pass. This might be a good place for you to go and get a drink or something. So we got some more work to do, as you can see. So every now and then I will rake it across on its back, and that just removes a little bit of a metal burr that builds up on the back side. Since this was below 20 degrees, I've actually got to remove a fair amount of material, and if I wanted to go to like a 25, which is usually where I set my plane irons, and my chisels are around 30 degrees a lot of times, that would be a tremendous amount of material. So one of my future projects is a jig for my grinder so that I can quickly grind it down to roughly the angle that I want, and then I'm just fine-tuning the angle after that. So you can see we're still going. And there's nothing wrong with sharpening these things by hand. I know a lot of guys do, but I don't think I necessarily trust myself enough yet. I've done it, but it can be inconsistent and not really give a refined edge like you might want. Okay, we're making some progress. We're getting up there. I'm just going to keep going. Flip this guy around every now and then because it does fill up with dust. In the instance of not, oh wow, got little pieces of metal on my computer. Thanks to that quality wire brush, I guess. Wow, they're everywhere. Stuck to the magnets in my speakers. That's interesting. Let's see. This is a issue I ran into with a lot of my chisels. You know, a lot of them are used, purchased at a garage sale or given to me, and when they're sharpened by hand so many times, it takes a while to get them down to a precise angle because you never really know where they're going to start at. I would say this plane iron was at 15 degrees or lower, and they just don't hold an edge for very long when they're that shallow. So I like to be pretty precise with the chisels and plane irons, and even put a little bit of a micro bevel on them, which is just a little bit steeper of an angle than, let's see, yeah, I got a little metal burr. I don't know if you can see that on the end. I think you'll be able to. Stick it into my hand. So right on the tip of that, there's a really thin piece of metal. Yeah, you can see it kind of flaking off there. That's the burr I'm talking about. So also this honing guide is really nice for getting a right angle on the end of your chisel or your plane iron. So that was just like 12 bucks or something. I think it's worth it. Yeah, focus right here. Focus. Almost there. You see I've worn down a lot of that marker now. I would like to get it at least in the middle, all the way up. That way I know the majority of the edge of my blade is square. But I'm not gonna sweat it too much. Trying to get that burr off. I have noticed too, when you hone these in at a steeper angle, the burr doesn't seem to be quite as pronounced. Here it definitely seems like a large strip of metal hanging off the end, whereas with a steeper angle you really have to feel for it. It'll be on the back. Like right now, I can run my thumb across it, feel it a little bit. Flip this around. Actually, let me go ahead and tamp that out. You can see all the metal filings and stuff that get left in. So it's nice to clear that every now and then. And once I get up to the finer grits, I will start using a little bit of Windex on there. Okay, so I'm fairly happy. It's going, the shiny part is going most of the way across. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it one more time with the Sharpie. Give it another 50 or 60 strokes on the 200 grit, and then I'll start going up through the grits. Take it up to 600 or 800, and then maybe throw a little micro bevel on it. Put it back together and try it out, and then, you know, maybe that'll be the end of the video. I do have to get up a little early tomorrow. Okay, yeah, I'm cutting most of the way across now, so I'm going to go ahead and strip the burrs best as I can. And I'll flip it over to 300 and then 400, then 600. Maybe at 400 I'll start using a little bit of Windex. Give it maybe 100 strokes on each. And this, this initial sharpening definitely takes the longest. The subsequent touch-ups, will just take a minute or 2 minutes to get it back to, a good serviceable amount of sharpness. Take the burr off. 400. Go ahead and hit that with some Windex. While I'm doing this, I will say that a lot of the links that I share with you guys, the Amazon links particularly, I have an Amazon affiliate store, and it doesn't cost you guys any extra money. So for example, if you'd want to snag this honing guide off of Amazon, if you use my link, you'll pay the same amount of money, but a little bit of that will come my way to help support the channel. And also, if you like what I do, again, this is my first live stream. Most of my videos are, they're edited, and it's a project video or a tutorial or something. But most of my videos, are that. But if you like what I do, I have a Patreon page now, and you can support me there. Just a buck or so a month really does help, and it helps fund this channel, helps make it so that I can get some things to review for you guys, test things out, find if they're going to work ahead of time, and let you know. All that stuff. I am a graphic designer by trade. I work at an ad agency. I live in Kansas City, so I work in downtown Kansas City, and my dream would be to do this type of thing full time. And $1 a month here and there, or whatever, definitely helps me inch closer to that. I am on the 600 grit stone now. And I do have a fine stone that's a solid piece of diamond that I'll use. next, and for the micro bevel as well. All right. Good there. Switch over to this guy, which is just a sheet of that fine diamond stone. So I will give him a good little bath of Windex. Maybe give this another, oh, I don't know, 70 or 80 strokes on that, and then I will adjust the angle and do the micro bevel. And all I'm doing is just taking that to a steeper angle, slightly, not by much, to put the very end of that plane iron at just a little bit steeper angle. And that really helps it retain the edge, but also makes it cut better. Yeah, look at that. It looks way better than it did. Nice and straight and square on the end, and I can already feel that it's crazy sharp. But like I said, we'll put that micro bevel on there and it'll be even better. So I will take my pliers, wherever they went off to, and open that up a pinch. And all I need to do to increase the angle is pull this back just a touch. That's probably enough. Moved it back maybe a 1/16 of an inch. Give it a little squirt. Going for 50. There's no reason why other than that's what was in my head. Pull that burr off. All right. Let's give it a few more. And so for this last pass, I am putting very little pressure. So prior to this, I was putting good pressure on the front of the iron. So now I'm just letting the weight of the iron mostly hold it onto the stone. And that's just going to make the cut even lighter and give me a finer result on the end. All right, get rid of that burr. And I want to say that looks good. We got this one side here where the edge of the blade was nicked or something, and I'm not cutting into that yet, but I've still got a good 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches um, of cutting edge on that blade. So let's put the thing back together and see if we can get it to take a good shaving. This is the part of the video where I would normally do a cut and would just be ready, but you get to watch me do all the stuff in between. So I'm sighting down the edge of the blade where that chip breaker's at. I want it to sit back so that it's kind of in the same plane as the edge, which is coming through pretty good there. So about like that. And then I want to go on the back side, put this retaining bolt in, tighten that down. Metal shaving stuck to the magnetic tip of my screwdriver. If you're looking for high quality wire brushes, that Menards kit is probably not for you, but that's okay. There's a bunch of them in there. So now this drops on here. Okay, so I am doing something wrong. That iron needs to come back some more. Let's just test it first. Okay, so I don't want this iron, I don't want this chip breaker to be too far out towards the tip of the blade. So I think what I need to do, set that where I want it. I think I need to move this whole carriage assembly back a bit if it'll go, which I think it will. Yeah. Looks like all the way back is where it should be for right now. So now I see why a lot of these holes are slotted so that you can get the fit right where you want it. you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, I'm approaching 500 subscribers, and I will be doing a giveaway when that happens. I don't have all of the details finalized yet, but I will be doing a giveaway. I have purchased one of the giveaway items already, and that should be a pretty good time. Now, I don't understand why this is different now than it was just a second ago. So the problem I'm having right now is the iron's just sticking out the bottom way too far. That's not supposed to happen. See, I don't want that chip breaker. Maybe it's supposed to be over the edge. What do you look like? Okay, well, maybe it's supposed to be halfway down the iron. So let's try that. Halfway down the edge. Just doesn't look right. But what do I know? I know I want another drink of this Coca-Cola. Yeah, I mean, that looks a lot better. All right. Now, with that in, this guy can go in. You can see right now that screw needs to come out a lot more. All right. So that's in. Blade is all the way out. Screw needs to be loosened some more. All right, I think that's a good tension. Can't see what I'm doing, sorry. I was setting this screw here. So let's get a piece of wood. Like that. Piece of wood. Let's get set up for a shot here. See if we can get her to take a shaving. This old vise was my grandfather's. And it is huge. I've got a video of the wooden jaws I put in it. I started cutting hand-cut dovetails a while back and realized that the metal teeth from this thing, which were, you know, super knurled, just destroyed the wood when I was clamping it. So I made some wooden replacements really quickly, and they've been great. They hold the wood really well too. All right, so now I'm going to loosen this guy and give it a little bit of a turn here. Let's go ahead and give her, nope, not enough yet. now. Too much. Too much. Okay, so what's the deal? There we go. Woo! Got so excited. Here, let's give you a bird's eye. We're not quite even yet on the blade, but it's okay. Actually, this is a excellent use for my little hammer. So I need to get, it's cutting pretty good on the right. I need to get a little bit more on the left. So I can just take that and tap it. I think I am pretty happy with those. Pretty thin shavings. Could use maybe a little more tweaking on the blade. Maybe make it a little bit more of an aggressive cut. Oh yeah, there we go. Check that out. Nice even shaving. I'll take that, man. This is a hardwood too. Oak, I believe. Better hickory. Yeah, man. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this video, but I am super stoked about this guy. Got all that surface rust off of it now. It's in much better shape. The nice sharp blade on there, it cuts great. So I'm gonna play around with it for a few more minutes, and I'll probably end this stream. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this stream, if you want me to stream some more, let me know in the comments or give it a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please do that. I do have that, again, that 500 subscriber giveaway coming up soon. Cool. Now I have 2, 3, 4, 6 or 7 more to go. So maybe some more videos in the future. If you guys want to see more of this type of restoration video, let me know. I'll show you guys how parallel, how nice the edge of this blade is in this plane. Here, check it out. See how well that blade sits in there now? I like it. Anyway, guys, have a great night. Like, comment, subscribe. It's good talking with you. Take care.